Last season, it seemed like with every passing game, Precious Achiuwa was getting better and better. And in this offseason, he's been quoted to have said he's in a different mindset heading into this season. So in today's video, we're going to discuss exactly what that different mindset might look like and why it could be vital to the Raptors in their playoff push this season. Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? It's Jacob here, back with Amateur Sports for another Toronto Raptors YouTube video. On this channel, I bring you the greatest coverage and analysis on the latest Toronto Raptors news and videos and content just like this 3 or 4 times a week. So if you like what you see from today's video, then make sure you are subscribed to the channel and you can help us on our road to 12,000 subscribers. The preseason is only about a week away for the Raptors, and get hyped because I'm doing watch parties for every single Raptors game starting with the preseason right here on this YouTube channel. Get excited for that and keep it locked with Amateur Sports. But today's video is going to be all about Precious Achiuwa. I know a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, we did a video about Precious Achiuwa where we kind of focused on his ceiling ultimately he could have with the Raptors and how important he could be going forward with the team. But this quote came out this week about how Achiuwa is in a different mindset. This season is going to be different for the player. So I want to talk about this quote specifically, and I want to focus more so on what he can achieve this season with the Raptors and why that can be so important to a team who won 48 games last year and was the 5th seed last year. And that's great and all, but that's a young core, and we want to improve on that this season despite this loaded Eastern Conference that got even better in the offseason with some marquee trades like DeJounte Murray going to the Hawks, like Donovan Mitchell going to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Because the Raptors, I mean, they pretty much kept it as is. They kept with the status quo. They did add in a free agent like Otto Porter Jr., but we trust this core, and Precious Achiuwa is very much a part of this core. You know, we talk about the main core of the Raptors being Siakam, Fred, Scotty, Gary, OG. I think we really need to start putting Precious Achiuwa into that core, especially with how much and how highly he's getting the praise from guys like Nick Nurse, getting praise from guys, more importantly maybe, like Masai Ujiri. So let's revisit a little bit that video I did talking about how much Achiuwa can achieve in his NBA career. I think that realistically, this could be the franchise center for the Raptors going forward. Maybe not quite this season, possibly though, and we'll talk about that as well. But going forward, this is probably somebody they're looking at to be the franchise center, and he is the perfect center to have with this core of players here. The fact that he's a little bit undersized might throw you off a little bit, but he plays way bigger than his height. He rebounds really well. He plays great defense, and with that height, brings that athleticism. He can play that great defense, playing above his size on the interior, but when necessary, can go on the outside, can guard almost any position, and be a great perimeter defender as well. That going along with the interior game, which improved as the season went on drastically, and as well, and this is the biggest thing, the three-point game, which got better and better as this season went on. He seemed a little bit lacking of confidence at the start of the season for the Raptors last season, but that really improved as he went forward, and he started to feel the Raptors trusting him a little bit more. And I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to his mindset. I feel like Miami really stumped his development a little bit in that only one season he spent there. His rookie season was spent with the Miami Heat after getting drafted 20th overall in the 2020 NBA entry draft. Now, the Raptors, they had Precious Achiuwa really high on their board. They had the 29th overall pick, so they had to settle for Malachi Flynn. But if Precious Achiuwa was available at 29, you best believe that is who the Raptors were going to be taking in that position. And when Achiuwa was traded to the Raptors in that sign-and trade involving Kyle Lowry, as we know so well, Precious Achiuwa, when he came here, Masai Ujiri told him, "You are mine now." Because Masai Ujiri was a big fan, and you can see exactly why. He is the exact archetype of player that the Raptors are looking for. So the different mindset heading into the season. What exactly is that different mindset? I'm going to go back to that confidence thing that I said. Miami just did not allow Achiuwa to be the player that he was. With Memphis in college, this guy was a stretch big. He could shoot threes. In fact, he shot threes really well, as you see by the statistics over here, 32.5%. I mean, that's pretty good. Miami, though, did not let him shoot. He shot 1 three-pointer in the entire rookie season he had with the Miami Heat. I think they just looked at Achiuwa and just went, just be exactly what Bam is when Bam is not on the floor. Just defend and just don't do anything but stand in the middle, get rebounds, maybe put it in at the rim. Don't do anything else. They didn't really let Precious Achiuwa express himself. And then when the Raptors really allowed him to do that after trading for him, you saw in Summer League, you saw in preseason how much more of a load he'd have. I mean, he was ball handling a lot for the Raptors. Like if he got a defensive rebound, he put his head down and he was basically the point guard running the show on offense. As the NBA season started, that was a bad idea because it was just a little bit too much for him to take on. It left some bad possessions, maybe or resulted in a few turnovers that were unwarranted, and then we kind of decreased his role a little bit, but we still allowed him to be the player that he wanted to be. We still allowed him to express himself, and as he got a little bit more comfortable in the NBA doing that and maybe gained the confidence that we'll give a credit to the Raptors coaching staff, the confidence that they were able to instill in the player, we really saw him blossom. He got the opportunity to play in the Rising Stars game, and that's where he really, really kicked on. I mean, there was such a sharp shift in his game from before the All-Star break to after the All-Star break. That really gave him that extra, one last real boost of confidence that he needed to be the player that we wanted him to be, and the shooting followed. The three-point shooting that this guy gave us, it was super, super efficient. He turned into one of the best floor spacers on the Raptors, and now heading into the offseason after really, really impressing in the playoffs as well. I know only a 6-game sample size, but I mean, you want to talk about confidence. You had games where he was just going at Joel Embiid's throat. Like game 5 of that series, I know we lost that series in 6 games, but game 5, Achiuwa was just attacking Joel Embiid at the Sixers as well. It was an away game. He was just attacking Joel Embiid, and in that third quarter, I think it was like, I felt like it was like 5 possessions in a row where Achiuwa went at Joel Embiid and managed to either score most of the time or set somebody else up to score. And going from what we saw from the start of the season with Achiuwa to the end of the season, I mean, that was just crazy. I mean, if you look at the Achiuwa from the season in Miami to what he was at the end of the season with the Raptors, that was also insane. So the different mindset for Achiuwa is that he's entering this season with a lot more certainty about his role. Then that can just boost his confidence even more. He went into this season with the Raptors maybe not really understanding the system that the Raptors play because, I mean, granted, it's a very difficult system. The positionless system might be a little bit confusing to new players. And you do typically see a little bit of an adjustment periods for people coming into this Raptors team because it is so foreign. I mean, the way they play, the positionless system. Like, when Achiuwa arrived, I remember the quote, like, I got told by Nick Nurse that there are no positions here. And it really rang true for somebody like that. But in the offseason, with the knowledge more so on what his role is going to be, he can work on these specific things to just fine-tune his game and be even better for this Raptors team. There's been Raptors coaches who have said that, he's looking really, really good. The shots are falling. He's becoming a much more confident and a much more tight ball handler. He's going to be probably getting a little bit more of a load in the ball handling standpoint. Maybe not like, grabbing a rebound and running down the floor playing as the point guard, but maybe more so creating his shots. I would throw up if I saw Achiuwa shooting in mid-range, but him getting to the rim, getting downhill, going at somebody with his size, strength, athleticism, that is something that is very difficult to start. And as I mentioned, you can ask Joel Embiid about that if you want to talk about people struggling to defend him. Somebody as good as Joel Embiid even struggling in that regard. So Achiuwa going into the season with that confidence, that is the different mindset that he had, because he's going in knowing how important of a player that he is to this team. And as players get older, because Precious Achiuwa is only 23 years old, as people get older, the biggest difference that you see with players developing is not necessarily just the different skills that they're adding to the game. It's that the game slows down. I think a lot of athletes, no matter what the sport, can attest to this. As you get older, you just maybe feel like, just think about where you were a year ago. The game and the sport in general just seems so much slower. And as the game slows down, you see more. Your decision-making improves because it feels like you have more time to make that decision. And the decision-making for Achiuwa, especially at the start of the season, was poor. Taking bad shots in mid-range, running up the floor a little bit out of control with the ball in his hand, rather than maybe handing it off to a guy like Fred VanVleet or Pascal Siakam to run the point for the team. These things have been corrected a lot throughout the season, but I think sharpening it up even more in the offseason is going to get Precious Achiuwa to that different level. And as you maybe saw with the thumbnail, if I kept it the thumbnail that I had prior to recording this video, I was calling Precious Achiuwa possibly the X-Factor for this team. There's discussions maybe about the role, if Achiuwa should start ahead of Gary Trent Jr. I would make the case that he should, but even if he is coming off the bench as a sixth man, Achiuwa possibly making that leap from 9 points per game to 12, 13, 14 points per game, is going to give the Raptors so many extra possibilities of what they can do with their team, particularly when he's on the floor, being able to space the floor for the other great players in this team, maybe crash the boards for an offensive rebound after the shot goes up. This is just going to provide the Raptors with so many different opportunities to use him offensively. And if you have to respect him a little bit more defensively when you're guarding the Raptors, again, it's just going to unlock so much extra space for the key players in this team, like Scotty Barnes, like Pascal Siakam as well in particular. This is going to be insane for the Raptors. This is going to be vital for the Raptors. Again, this guy is only 23 years old, and it seems like he is just going to continue to develop. And what better development system for like a 6'9" center, two-way, athletic, multi-purpose, ball in his hands, shooter, attacking the rim player. What better system to develop in than the Toronto Raptors system, which harnesses players with that sort of specific skill set and gets them to the next level. Achiuwa is already a vital piece of this Toronto Raptors team at 23 years old. I believe he can be that X-Factor, getting us to our ceiling and what we can achieve this season. And I think the Raptors are a lot better than even people like myself are giving them credit for here. They are a force to be reckoned with in the Eastern Conference, whether people want to admit it or not. Achiuwa is going to be a big part of that. So Precious Achiuwa, what sort of season do you think this player is going to have? And let me know what you think he's going to average in the point per game department in the comments down below, because that is it for me for today. Thanks so much for watching this video. Tried to switch it up from the Achiuwa video we did a couple weeks ago. Hope we did a good job. But if you did enjoy, please be sure to drop a like on this video. It does go a long way to supporting the channel, helping us really get to the next level, because when you like the video, YouTube recommends this to other people of similar interests to you, helps spread the word of the channel, gets them more recommended pages, and helps me out a lot, but only takes you 1 second to drop that like. If you're new, or if you've just not done so already, be sure to subscribe to Amateur Sports for videos and content just like this, with the greatest coverage and analysis on the latest Toronto Raptors news 3 or 4 times a week. Really appreciate the support you give me on this channel. Hope to see you at the watch parties for the Raptors preseason games and the regular season games starting next week. Notifications on so you don't miss any of that, and I'll see you again next time for another video.